In this video, I'm going to talk about pixel resolution. So I'm going to go to the image menu, image size, and this picture has already been edited in terms of its pixel dimension and its size. So I just want you to understand that pixel resolution is connected to the actual dimensions, the width and height of your photograph, and the resolution. So 1600 pixels divided by 8 equals 200 resolution. 1429 pixels divided by the height, which is 7.145, equals 200. So that tells you that pixel dimension is directly connected to the dimensions and the resolution. Whenever you resample, either change the resolution or change the dimensions or both, then check your resampling options. And because I'm reducing the size of the overall dimensions, I'm going to choose reduction, and that will give me a better quality resample. So now I have my 4 photographs here, so I'm going to go to my first picture and I'm going to actually demonstrate the resizing. And there I have, 56 by 42 at 72 resolution. So the file dimensions are quite large. It's a web graphic, so why would I need 56 by 42 inches? And then the resolution is for screen, which is okay, but it's also the lowest resolution. So even if you're working for the web, when you're editing a photograph, you really want to start off with higher resolution and then do your editing. And at the very end, you can reduce the resolution and you can save as a JPEG or a PNG. Then you can adjust the resolution down to 72. But when editing, you want more resolution so that the quality of the photograph is better. So I'm just going to see what my dimensions look like if it's 8 by 6, 10 by 7. Okay, let's do 10 by 7. It's always better to have a little bit higher file dimension, a little bit higher resolution, because you can always edit down. And then you have the gains of larger file size and higher resolution. So I reduce the size. I'm going to increase the resolution to 200. And that gives me a nice kind of robust document that I can start editing from. Now I have my 4 photographs and I need to make little thumbnails. And so I'm going to go back and do my canvas size under the image menu. And you can see that when I upped the resolution, my size of my image increased. But that's okay for now because this is my working document and I want that extra resolution. That's going to make my photograph much better quality. So I'm going to make this 12 by 7.5. I'm going to double click on this and get rid of my lock, and then I can essentially make a new layer, and I'm going to crop this photograph because I don't need it to be so big. It's just the thumbnails that I want you to have. So I'm just going to crop that, and I can fill this white behind, and then I can just resize this, and because I'm going to make room for my 4 photographs, so something like that. And I hit apply. And then I'm just going to go and get each of my photographs. So I can do Command A and Command C, and I'm going to go back to my original document and paste. And then I can kind of just resize. And some of these are, I'm not quite sure. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm not going to apply. I'm going to leave it a little bit bigger until I get all of my files in there. So my next one, Command A, Command C, and go back to my first image and paste. Oh, maybe I have to, yeah, just paste. Okay. And then my last one, Command A, Command C, and go back to my original one and paste. Okay, so now I can work with cropping the various parts of my photograph and decide which one I want to use for the main part of the color editing lab. So I'm just wanting to have a little thumbnail so that I can see that you kind of went through the process of working, to get a good image. And the last one, I might make this a little smaller and fit it in there. You can kind of crop them as needed. And I might pick these two, shift select both of those, and just make them a little smaller. And apply, and then the last one, I'm just gonna make a little bit bigger. Okay, so you kind of just have to fiddle around, and I can kind of get my images kind of set up that way. And I can also, if I want to crop my overall file, I can do that. So I kind of like that. So now I'm just going to go in and crop it a bit, something like that. Okay, so there are my 4 pictures, and the next step is turning them into black and white. And I'm going to demonstrate using the channel mode to do that. So under your image mode, these are your channel modes, your color modes: grayscale, RGB for electronic media, CMYK color for print media, and so on and so forth. You get bits, which indicates quality of the imagery. So the way that I'm going to demonstrate for the purposes of doing this lab is just going to your, turning your RGB, right? If I look up at the top here, it tells me it's an RGB document and it's 8-bit, RGB 8-bit. And that is determinate, to a large degree. If you're taking a picture, it's going to be RGB because it's an electronic device. So you're always working with RGB. And then the 8-bit is determinate for the quality of the actual device you're using. So depending on the camera you use, and you might end up having, a higher bit rate. And then that gives you more color information. So if you're taking a picture with your phone, the chances are it's going to be 8 bits. If I was using, a Canon Rebel, high-end kind of professional grade photograph, then I'm going to be shooting in 16 or 32. I'm going to turn that into grayscale. And when you do that, it affects the appearance of layers. So it's going to ask you merge layers before mode changes. And I'm going to say don't merge, so I can keep my layers. And then I'm going to discard the color information, and there's my black and white. So you're going to see now how color confiscates a lot of what's going on in an actual photograph when it comes to the value range. That's the grayscale. For the purposes of just submitting your grayscale thumbnails, this would be a fine thing to do. If you want to go and put an adjustment layer on, maybe we could just do a levels adjustment or brightness contrast. A lot of the times when you convert imagery, you lose something. So you might just want to do a quick brightness and contrast. Let's just do that. Maybe just hiking up the contrast a bit. So let's just do that, a simple adjustment. You see how it's a little crisper now? So when you're color editing, the details are really important. You don't want to do things too extreme. So you're looking to do subtle enhancements always. In any event, there's my first submission, and I would now do a save as, and I would initially, I'm going to call this for layout. And you should save as a PSD. If I look into my image size now, I can see it's 2.63 megabytes. So as soon as I got rid of all that color information, my file size dramatically dropped. And so I should have no problems uploading that to Canvas. So I hit OK. And then when you have your PSD saved, there's a couple of ways that you can make a JPEG. You can obviously just go down to your Save As and pick one of these. You can also go to your Export option under your file. And here you've got, you can do a quick export, which could work. And then this option I want to introduce you to is Save for Legacy. And this is actually really nice because you get original. There's my optimized original. Then I can do 2-up. And you can see that it gives me my original here was 10.5 megabytes. And now if I save it as a GIF, which I don't want because that's more for solid color illustrative artwork. So if I go to a JPEG or a PNG, let's just do JPEG for demonstration purposes. And don't worry about progressive because that just means that it loads gradually, but we have high bandwidth now, so we don't need to worry too much about that. We want to check optimized, and we're not working with any color profile right now, so that's not necessary. But you can see how now it reduces, and I have a 512K image from the original. And so that gives me the ability to adjust the quality. And as soon as I do that, it might bump up the size. And then the other thing that's really nice is the 4-up. And then I can see the gradual reduction of the quality and the size of the JPEG. So this is really important to look at. So this is my image at 1.3 megabytes. This down here on the lower left is my image at 423. And this is my image at 256. So because really looking for good quality, I would definitely go with the largest JPEG option. So I would select that one, and the blue kind of line around it means it's selected, and then I would save. And I'm going to put that on my color edit and for layout.jpg, and then I save it as such. There it is. And essentially, what you don't want any banding where the color starts getting, chunks of the color start blurring. And you might get that in certain areas, especially where you have these very kind of subtle gradations. So I look at this and I'm pretty happy with the quality. The whites are white. I've got a good range of mid values, and that's a perfectly fine image for submission purposes.